Digital communication growing all the time, data packets moving all around, either in enterprise or in defense. We're all facing that challenge on a regular basis, right? And imminently, we will be faced with quantum computers that will break through a lot of cryptographic solutions that have been around for decades today. Therefore, the need of the hour, right, is for something that is post-quantum secure in cryptography. Please welcome QNu Labs, Sunil Gupta, one of India's only quantum cryptography startups. Welcome, Sunil.
Thank you, Ajay. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sunil. We are a IIT Madras research park incubated company based out of Bangalore. So I'm going to take you out of the world of 0 or 1 to 0 and 1, right? In the quantum physics, which is a very different world, but is unfolding right in front of us. So we are actually at 4 founders, and 2 of us have spent almost about 3 decades working in different industries. We have done some very interesting work. To give you an example, one of our co-founders built a computer. He was part of the team that built a handheld India's first computer. Then I was part of the team that built India's first digital switch way back in 1980s. Then I was again a part of the team that will build world's first satellite-based GSM communication system, commercial system that is installed in Etisalat, right? But we did few more. But somewhere in the heart, we always felt, we had a feeling that there's something is incomplete and unfinished, right? And I think it was coming from the fact that we felt that we have done a lot of great technology work, but we couldn't build a real deep tech company in India that can actually be the best in class in the world and could serve the whole global world. That's the reason we dare to have this dream. And today I will tell you how we are realizing this dream and vision about building India's real deep tech company. When I'm saying deep tech, it is really a frontier tech, as Pascal says. And we have put India onto the quantum map of the world. So idea was to build a real deep tech in India, competing with the best of the world in the industry. And that's the reason I will tell you why we chose quantum. But one of the reasons why we chose quantum was that this is the one tech that is, when we started back in 2016, it was still a research area, right? No technology and no products have still been formed or developed. Idea is to build a next generation data security platform. Way back 2016, when we were doing that, besides many other things, India announced in 2016 that it will move from a cash-based economy to a digital economy, right? It was along with. That time we had Paytm had just come up, e-commerce platforms, food delivery apps and so on. And we realized that if billion people are going to come onto some digital platforms, then there has to be digital trust somewhere, right? Of a much higher order. And we realized that digital trust was missing all over the place. So we said, and when we went back, and I spent a decade in cybersecurity, and always we had a challenge that we used to use several cybersecurity tools, never sufficient. Even after spending $250 billion, cybersecurity is still everybody is struggling. One of the reasons for that is that in cybersecurity, we always have been using a technology of yesterday to solve today's problem, or we have been using today's technology to solve today's problem. And hackers have always been ahead of us. So in order to really solve this data security problem, we said we have to change this whole game at its head, right? Spin the whole thing by really bringing a future tech into reality in today's. That is where the quantum tech we chose. One of our founder is a professor at IIT Madras. He does his bachelor's from IIT Bombay, and he's the guy who is expert in lasers and optics, which is the foundation of what I'm going to talk about. And that is also where Spatial comes in place, because they always relish something that you build in future. They say unlocking future technologies and really building future solutions. So that was synergy that we had with Spatial. Now when we do today, anything that we do today, voice, video, messaging, internet banking, everything is encrypted. That gives us some amount of confidence that we are secure, right? Our data is secure, our transaction is secure. But unfortunately, encryption is taking its last breath. Everything that we do today is going to get broken in the next 3 to 5 years, right? everything that we do, because the encryption that we're talking about, RSA 2048, which only 30% of all the enterprises in the world have, 70% of the enterprises are at a much lower key levels. And it is said that an error-corrected quantum computer, 4099 qubit, will actually break this current encryption in a matter of a minute, right? And the problem is that hackers worldwide are not waiting for quantum computers to come. Quantum computers are still not there. I mean, they're there, but they're still at a 1000 qubit quantum computer IBM release this year, right? So we still have some way to go, 3 to 5 years. But the challenge is that hackers are not waiting for quantum computers to come. They are using GPUs or other hardware, and they're coming up with smarter techniques to break the encryption key, right? 2 weeks ago, there's a company in Canada that announced that they can actually break at RSA 2048 using in-memory computing, right? So that's the challenge the world is facing. So what is the challenge? Encryption is two things. Encryption is the encryption algorithm, that is like a lock, and then you have an encryption key. The challenge is nobody breaks encryption. It's very difficult to break. AES encryption, which is normally used, is pretty solid. It is even secure even in the post-quantum world. But the challenge is everybody is behind encryption key, because encryption key is the weakest link, right? And tapping into optical fiber cables has been an old practice. All over the place, people tap. Hacking encryption key to steal secret is a common practice. If you remember, World War II Germans lost just because British and Polish scientists could break the Enigma key, right? And that changed the whole World War. So getting this encryption is very important. And in the intelligence world, I mean, this is a common practice. If you read it, there's a very gory details there, how the people steal your keys. Everything that we're talking here right now is out. Somebody is listening to it, and somebody, even if it gets encrypted, this information, and stored somewhere, somebody will listen it, right? So there's the world that we are living in, and there are people who are storing it in the hope that they will decrypt it when they want, right? And this was a new thing. There's a project that was published in the newspaper called Tempora, where the British agency GCHQ, along with CIA, they had been copying and storing 20 petabytes of data every day of the optical fibers. These are all documented, unclassified, declassified documents. And this is what exactly Snowden leaked. In 2011, when he leaked 10 of his leaks, one of the leaks was this. So you imagine now what we are talking about. All the data that is encrypted, it gets copied, it gets stored, and then people will wait, because a lot of our critical data, health data is valid for next so many years. Some of the financial data has a long shelf life. So all the critical data that has a long shelf life has a threat of being stored today and decrypted when the quantum computers or some other better techniques are available. By the way, China has supposedly stored world's 27% of the critical data. If we hear any of the breaches we see, an Ames breach, Paytm breach, or any of the airlines, the data that breach is actually gets sold on the dark web, and then the people who buy eventually gets to some place. What is the option people have today in such scenario? Enterprises no option but to double the key size every 2 years. That's what we have been doing for the last 2 decades. Now every time when we started with few bits, today we are at 2048 bits. Every time you encrypt that size, it's not easy just doubling the key size. Every time you do that, we have to throw multi-million dollars of hardware behind it so that we can decrypt the data in the same amount of time, otherwise consumer experience will deteriorate, right? So it's a huge problem, and this is the reason why 70% of the organizations are sitting at a much lower levels of security, because doubling the key size is a very painful process. It takes about, I was talking to one customer, and he was just pulling his hair when I told him I have a solution, but he just told me, he said he spent $5 million, 9 months of business disruption to migrate his keys to the next level. Right? So that's a very big problem. And that's the reason World Economic Forum also said the critical infrastructure is a huge problem. So today in the world, what is happening? There are 2 big risks we are setting on, right? Long-term digital identities, because if somebody breaks my public key, so what people do? Today public-private key, so public keys are available. Hackers will break public key. The moment they break that, they will get private keys. Once they get private keys, they can create digital certificates, or they can hack my digital certificate. So our long-term digital identities, the digital certificates are issued for a year, 2 years, 4, 5 years, and so on. So that's a big problem. Second one is whatever I'm encrypting today should remain encrypted. But what happens is if they break the key, whatever I'm encrypting today, it will become unencrypted tomorrow. So any secret that we have, any confidential information, personal information, IPs and so on, everything is big worry. You won't know probably during COVID time, most of our large pharma companies were hacked by Chinese. All of them were in the huge grave danger of losing their IPs, some of the formulas which are not patented and so on. I also saw some of the startups here handling a lot of important medical data and other critical data. Is very, very critical to protect that. So it's a $1 trillion problem. US recently did a survey. There's a Hudson Institute in US. They gave they were all economists there, and there was a project was given to them, and they said that if a single quantum attack shutting down the entire grid could cost them a multi-trillion dollar. It's not a small problem. And that's the reason in December 2022, US passed an act. First they made it a mandate, but then it became an act, so that all federal agencies in US have to migrate to a quantum secure encryption. They have to upgrade that themselves so that they cannot stay on the current level of encryption. And if you look at the quantum computing market landscape, even today, largest amount of investment is happening in quantum computing, right? The Googles, Microsoft, Honeywell, and top companies in the world are building quantum computers. Now, what are they doing? They're not trying to build quantum computers to break encryption. They are building quantum computers because quantum computers can solve computing problem, right? They can get drug discoveries, supernovas, right? They can find new materials. So quantum computing is going to change the whole world. Our deep neural networks, algorithms can be easily run on a quantum computers. But what is happening is the moment quantum computer is available to hackers on a cloud, they will use it as a tool to break the encryption, right? So that is what the risk is. So here what we are saying is, cybersecurity needs to be proactive. We don't have to wait for quantum computers. At least 5 years before the quantum computers will come, the enterprises should deploy that. And that is exactly what our mission was. Our mission was that if we can bring this quantum encryption at least 5 years ahead of the time before the quantum computers are available on cloud, this has never happened in the history of cybersecurity, that enterprises have at least 5 years ahead advantage over technology, which hackers don't have, right? So India started preparing it some time back and declared National Quantum Mission, 6,000 crore program. When we started building in 2016, this was not there, but we contributed to this whole National Quantum Mission. Today, India is talking about 4 verticals. We are behind in quantum computers, but we are doing very well in quantum communication. I feel very good to tell you that we are in the top 3 companies in the world to have this technology today. And today we are able to build all the TICs that you see. These are the technologies that we already have. So while the National Quantum Mission talks about all these things to be available for next 6 to 8 years, but India has this technology today. China realized this issue or risk 10 years ago. And about 5 years ago, they actually started building a quantum safe networks. So they migrated from a classical encryption to a quantum encryption, and they started using, and I will tell you what quantum encryption is in my next couple of slides. So they started building from Beijing to Shanghai and other areas, 20,000 kilometers, optical fiber. They have put a quantum encryption so that nobody can hack their data. And they've also gone ahead and did a satellite-based security communication. So India is prepared against a quantum attack. That's the good news. Bad news is that we are a little behind in against China. But the thing is that we have built an indigenous technology where right from the hardware, software, manufacturing, everything happens here, right here in India. We have about six patents granted to us on this. And we have already done, this is supported by Technology Development Board. They gave us a grant. It is supported by Indian Defense. They gave us a grant. And then we got a few other areas. The National Security Council has given us the early grants to build this technology and prove the point. So we did several advanced field trials, including one where we showed Indian Army how we can protect our border area of the optical fibers near China border, where we put our technology over 5 days and showed them that it's unhackable. right? So that is where Indian Army had issued us an exclusive RFP to acquire this technology and deploy. So just to, I think this slide should have come before. I thought maybe, sorry, I had to go back, or this is not going back. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so just a couple of points here because I missed this thing. So what is quantum? So typically what happens is, in the classical world we talk about 0 or 1, right, binary. So if it is a 64-bit computer, it will be 2 power 64 combination, but any point of time it will use one of the options, right? But in quantum computers, it is superposition. It uses 0 and 1 at the same time. So for example, when we do a toss of a coin, in our classical world, we'd wait for coins to fall down, is a head or tail, and then that's what we decide. But in quantum computers, he's interested in when the coin is flipping, right? Because he's interested in both the states. That's the reason it will always have 2 power n combination. That's the reason it's powerful. Because if there are 50 qubits, then it can actually leverage 2 power 50 states at the same time, right? So if 100 qubit, which is already exists, 100 qubits computer already exists, 2 power 100 is more than number of hydrogen atoms in the universe, right? You can imagine the power of quantum computers. So these are creating a problem. These quantum computers, when they come, they're in the hand of hackers. They will use that to break, because if they can solve the big problems, mathematics problems, encryption is also a mathematics problem. They will break the mathematics behind the encryption. So our journey so far, we were incubated. IIT Madras has said we spent 16 to 18 do a proof of science, proof of tech, because we had to understand quantum physics and so on. We raised largely funds through Angel. In fact, Vishesh and Arjun met us in 2018. They looked at us, they said, you're early for us. They came back after 2 years, and 3 times, the third time I think they probably got convinced to invest. Then on the 19, 20, 21 was very interesting because we got early clients there. One of our first clients was an international client who was using it for some military application. We raised actually 2 million pre-series round led by Special. And then we got several awards from DSCI, NASCOM. That is when we got our first patent. And in 2022, actually, that is where this whole, our technology started getting deployed and accepted in the Indian Army and Indian Defense, right? So we got several orders from there, exclusive RFPs, we got National Technology Award and so on. And today where we are, we have orders worth about $7 million, right, from Indian Armed Forces and different Indian enterprises. And we are right now in the process of deploying this technology. Manufacturing is happening right now. And by end of this year or early next year, we will have actually this deployed, protecting some of the very, very critical Indian assets, right, in the defense forces. So this is the product portfolio. On the left side, if you'll see, these are hardware. As I said, this is manufactured here. This hardware has laser guns. It generates photons. It put them into superposition. And then we have a very sophisticated single photon detector. So it's very complicated hardware inside there. So you see the 2 products. The down product is called random number generator. What it does is, it has two pieces, right? Key needs to satisfy 2 properties. One is the key should be random, right? If like passwords. If my password is not very complex, then somebody can guess my password. Second is that password, nobody should be able to break my password itself, right? So I think that this product on the bottom side, that QRNG you see, this is a very special product. It generates 1 million random numbers per second. It is used today by several customers to seed their keys. Because randomness is a very holy grail, right? Not easy to produce that. And we harness the inherent randomness of the quantum phenomena. The photons are random, how they behave, right? We harness the randomness of photon and then use that. Above product is very interesting product, ARMOS. It's called quantum key distribution. Imagine 2 data center between Chennai and Bangalore, and I can connect an optical fiber, these 2 boxes and the data center along with routers and switches, and everything that goes onto that optical fiber will be unbreakable, right? So that's what we do. And and on the right side, because the left side, these products, because they work on optical fiber, they work on dedicated private links, private networks. But on the right side, if you look at it, these are intranet shared networks. And this is where what we use, instead of using a quantum physics, we use advanced mathematics, right? And these advanced mathematics algorithms are also unbreakable. What we have done is, we have built a secure, quantum secure VPN solution, right? Which is again, it has a software solution, which is a software client. I can put it at two ends. And I will just show you a very interesting part. This is I have in my pocket. This is the world's smallest quantum customer premise equipment. If I put it in my pocket, it's a Wi-Fi. I can connect it to my laptop or mobile phone, and I can connect to a data center securely. I can be at a hotel, I can be at the airport without any problem. And this has another chip. This is, you can't see this because it's a 3 mm by 3 mm chip. It's a quantum random number generator which sits in a data center, which is also available as a chip that goes inside this, right? So that is the level of product and solution that are available today. So in interest of time, I'll just skip this. If just allow me 1 more minute for this.
Introducing Armos, your gateway to securing a higher business posture. Driven by quantum key distribution technology. Introducing Armos.
So I think it's not there. So just last thing, as I mentioned, any endpoint security. So we have endpoint security at Quantum. We have a network security, and we have a cloud security today, right? End-to-end quantum encrypted. So I'll just skip this. So today, in terms of use cases, whether it's drones, whether it's blockchains, whether the enterprise messaging platforms, or healthcare platforms, or a large telecom 5G or 6G networks, we actually protect all of them today. Right? So future is here, right here. Thank you.